Hey everybody, time for another dose of Dohler, but first, I want to give thanks once again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. That's right, Squarespace, a leader in the web design industry for over 20 years. Whether you want to show off your interests, start a side hustle, or finally dive headfirst into that new business, Squarespace makes web design easy. Using their AI-powered website builder, you can make your own fully functional professional site. Just answer some simple questions about your personality and industry, and Design Intelligence will handle the rest, creating a completely customized site loaded with all the features you need. And if you change your mind and want to make some changes, Squarespace's Fluid Engine allows you to easily drag and drop elements, all without doing any coding. Plus, if you're trying to sell some products, whether they're handmade or digital, Squarespace has e-commerce tools built right in, as well as an intuitive inventory management system. So if you're somebody who wants to join the thousands of other people who've used Squarespace to make their dreams a reality, just go to squarespace.com/brandandtenold or click the link in the description and sign up for your free trial. Then, when you're confident your site's ready for launch, use the promo code BrandonTenold for 10% off your first purchase. Alright, let's get into it. Thought I was done with Maryland filmmaker Dohler? Last time I did his first movie, so now it's time to talk about his second. Largely owing to its small budget, Dohler's first movie, The Alien Factor, managed to turn a profit. So, a couple years later in 1980, he followed that up with his second feature, Fiend. And while The Alien Factor only had a budget of around $3,500, for this one, he had $6,000. Although I'm not really sure what he spent the extra money on, since this actually has less monsters and special effects than The Alien Factor did. Well, maybe the craft services were a little better this time around. This was also the first of Dohler's movies to be produced by Ted Bohas, who would later go on to produce The Deadly Spawn. Now, I've joked about Dohler's movies following the same formula of aliens landing in Maryland and terrorizing yokels, but this one actually breaks it. Instead of aliens, it's a zombie serial killer movie. See, he's got range. Dohler decides to get artsy with this one by beginning with some text explaining a fiend, a demonic entity that possesses corpses and has to drain the life force of other beings to maintain its existence. Call them vampires, zombies, ghouls. All I know for sure is that the life force sucker in this movie is not going to be as attractive as Matilda May. And despite what I said earlier, there's a possibility this thing is still an alien. Man, there is something strange in this neighborhood. Seriously, there's something weird and it don't look good. Jokes aside, this cemetery opening is actually pretty atmospheric. In fact, it's arguably the best opening credit sequence to any of Dohler's movies I've seen. Not sure this is a good place to take a girl, though.
Ain't that bad, at least it's quiet.
Yeah, and it's cold, too. I get the creeps in around here.
Yeah, it's a cemetery. Next time go to a movie for a date. For starters, there you only have to worry about people talking and not getting strangled by a radioactive zombie. So here's the fiend of the title, and that girl's life force restored his youth and mustache. Now that he's been brought back to life, he makes his way to the suburbs. And remember the good old days when you could afford a home on a single zombie income? Actually, about that, I'm not sure how he's able to move into this place. All he does is take the for sale sign off the lawn, and then I guess it's just his now? I didn't know you could do that. Damn, no wonder home ownership was so much easier back then. Of course, it probably helps that this is also the director's house. Alright, now our fiend's got himself a swinging bachelor pad, and it's probably gonna stay that way since he immediately murders pretty much every woman he meets. Well, congratulations, pal. It's bad enough you took Dohler's home, but now you just killed his wife. By the way, if you saw my video on Don Dohler's previous movie, that one had a lot of scenes of people wandering aimlessly through the woods to fill time. Now, thankfully, this one has a lot less walking, but there is definitely still some filler here. one will be seated during the thrilling cat feeding scene. Well, this guy may be an undead serial killer, but you can tell he's classy because he drinks wine from a goblet he got at a Renaissance fair. By the way, did all this stuff belong to the people selling the house, or did he bring it all in? Well, if it's the latter, I'm glad they cut the moving in montage. Also, was the woman he killed an ex he was still mad about or something? Dude, you've been brought back from the dead. Get over it already. And speaking of his last victim...
County police say they have no suspects in the bizarre murder of a young Milford woman whose body was found late this afternoon on Brookwood Road. The victim, 21-year-old Jane Clayton...
She was 21?
Honey, I'm home.
I'm back from my job selling carpeting for used cars. These two are the Kenders, who live next door to the Fiend, who's taking the name Eric Longfellow and apparently works as a violin teacher.
For 7 months he's lived next door, and for 7 months we've had nothing but screeching violins.
You can hear the violin next door? These are detached houses. What is he, plugging it into a Marshall stack? The Kenders also talk a lot about their kids, which is kind of weird considering we never once see them in the entire movie.
Well, the boys decided that they'd like to do a science fiction movie in the spring.
Yeah, that'll be something to see.
Maybe in 40 years, some smart-ass Canadian will talk about it on the internet. Well, Longfellow seems to be living his best life. He's like Hugh Hefner if the Playboy Mansion was a split-level ranch in Maryland and had only one pussy in it. Mr. Kender, however, is suspicious of him, although personally I think he's just jealous he no longer has the biggest mustache in town. I would say the people here shouldn't walk alone at night, but Longfellow commits most of his crimes in broad daylight. This means he's gonna have to be subtle. Or not. Well, I see being dead didn't affect Longfellow's upper body strength at all.
Oh my God.
What?
I don't believe this.
What? What is it?
The Colts lost again. They ought to move that stupid team. Oh, and there's been another murder. And wait a second. Not only does Longfellow run his own business, but he even has an assistant? This guy's like the most productive zombie ever. I can see why he doesn't fit in, though. He's the only guy in this entire neighborhood who doesn't wear clothes that look like either a picnic table or a shower curtain. Why can't everyone here just respect the fact that Longfellow doesn't like interacting with people? Besides, you know, when he murders them. Damn kids with your sports ball, you're interrupting my day drinking. Oh, well, that wasn't that bad. Back then, you could smack a neighborhood kid and not get in trouble for it. Oh, looks like I spoke too soon. By the looks of it, Longfellow's gonna go from being a regular serial killer into straight-up Albert Fish territory. And just when you think, this movie's not gonna go there, is it? Yeah, it totally goes there. This was the first movie Dohler made after the release of Halloween, and it seems like his attempt to get in on the slasher movie craze of the early 80s. People who have only seen his campier alien invader flicks might be a little surprised with this one, because this is arguably the darkest movie he ever made. Don't expect any gore or nudity, though. Dohler was very much an old-school sci-fi horror fan, and when he did include those things in his movies, it was only because he felt he had to. And considering his track record with sex scenes, that's probably for the best. This latest murder has shocked the whole community. Well, kind of.
Found little Christy Michaels dead. What?
Oh, dear Lord, no.
I can see you're really shaken up about it. Kender immediately suspects Longfellow of the murder and does the only logical thing. He goes to his house to talk to him about it. Oh man, you interrupted him while he was listening to his Casio symphonies. Beethoven's fifth demo button. And now he's gonna criticize his home decor.
Oh, I thought you just hadn't had a chance to finish your club basement yet.
As you can see, I've made it quite comfortable.
Well, a little insulation and paneling would make it a lot more comfortable, don't you think?
And as I've said before, you wouldn't have to worry about getting killed in a horror movie. Finished basements save lives. Longfellow says he didn't hear anything, but when he goes to get more wine, Kender finds out that he got tips for his man cave from Aleister Crowley. That's weird. What kind of occultist uses a steak knife as a ceremonial dagger? Well, Kender's not able to get any info out of Longfellow. First rule of committing a murder right behind your house, always make sure you have an airtight alibi.
If it's not asking too much, if you could tell me why you had me lie to the police.
Your loyalty is expected, Mr. Fry. And if you value your position at the Academy, you'll not say another word about this to anyone.
Okay, I really don't want to risk losing a job that pays $5.50 an hour. If Longfellow wants to avoid suspicion, he might want to consider committing his murders at night. Yeah, I know those are harder to light on a low budget, but you don't get as many interruptions. Well, at least Longfellow's becoming more inclusive. See, look, he's killing men now. And to really bring home the 80s slasher movie vibe, we also get some POV shots like he's Jason Voorhees. He even teleports like Jason, too. Kendra goes to see Longfellow's assistant at his office/somebody's house and asks him if he knows anything about the little girl's murder.
Got something to hide, huh, Fry?
I do not. I told the police everything.
If you're giving false evidence or lying to the police on a murder case, then you're going right up the river with your buddy Longfellow.
You're not a cop. That's why it's just a warning.
As far as the subplot about the Kender's kids making a movie goes, I gotta give Dohler credit for cross-promotion. That book she's reading about filmmaking is one Don wrote himself.
This book is really going to help us. In fact, I'd like you to pick up some more copies later this week.
Back to the weird bookstore, huh?
Why do you need to go to the bookstore? Just ask the director for more copies. I'm sure he has some. First, though, we gotta get more plot exposition.
They even had a grave robbing over in Seville County.
Oh, yeah, I know about that.
You do?
The guy's name was, William Dorian.
William Dorian. Damn, that sounds familiar.
Well, whatever. I'm sure it won't be important later. And here is an important detail. Kender notices Longfellow forgot to pick up a fresh supply of Just for Men.
I saw Longfellow. He looked 70 years old.
I'd say he looks more like 40, even though I'll bet this actor wasn't even 30 when he made this. Yep, I was right.
We ought to see this little room he's got set up down there. And above the table on the walls are all these slashed photographs of girls.
You know, considering there's been several murders in this area, maybe I should go to the police with this info. Nah, I'll just keep investigating it myself. And again, Longfellow's really got to stop conducting all his murders in broad daylight. It makes it easy for nosy little kids to follow him.
Don't think you'll be going back, Mr. Fry.
You know, it doesn't matter if Longfellow kills this guy, he's still gonna be in the rest of Dohler's movies. And a lot of John Waters' ones, too. Well, there's finally a witness to one of Longfellow's murders. Now, back to more product placement.
Well, I don't know what you're gonna do with so many copies of Film Magic, but you can tell your Boy Scout troop they owe old Gare $37.50.
Can you believe this guy? That's like if I wore my own merch and held up copies of documentaries I'm in. Good thing I'd never do that. Mr. Kender also picked up a handy occult book, because when you suspect there's a serial killer in your town, sure, demons.
One of the least mentioned creatures of legend are fiends. Ginswell's paper, filed in 1902, describes the fiend as a supernatural entity, possibly representing the culmination of evil throughout the ages.
Oh, so I guess this one really isn't about an alien. Dohler broke his formula. And then immediately went right back to it after this. Kender also learns that another term for a fiend is Dorian, which is also the name of the corpse that was resurrected. So, wait, does that mean that Longfellow was evil before his dead body got possessed by whatever the hell this is? Or did he just coincidentally have a last name that was another word for fiend? Do they only possess people that have that name? I have so many questions. Well, in any case, Kender's going to the cemetery to get some answers. Plus, when you got a spooky location, you gotta make sure to use it as much as possible.
Excuse me, mister. Didn't mean to scare you.
I greet everybody with a fake-out scare. Well, at least this guy's helpful and tells Kender about Dorian.
What kind of guy was this, Mr. Dorian?
He was a music teacher up at the grade school.
I don't believe this.
It's true, honest. I even have his obituary right here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, this guy carries obituaries around in his wallet? Somebody might want to check if he's a serial killer. I'm getting some real Errol Childress vibes from him. My god, it's him! The Fiend! He's gotta rush home and still not really tell anybody.
But I found out something absolutely incredible. Unbelievable.
Well, what is it, Gary? Tell me.
I am, Marcia, but I have been up for 33 straight hours.
Also, I just found out our neighbor might be an undead serial killer, but right now I really need a power nap. Besides, there's another witness to Longfellow's murder spree, which means Kender can really mount a case against him.
And then Mr. Longfellow, he choked the man. It was weird looking. He kind of glowed red. It's horrible.
Come on, kid, the effect wasn't that bad.
If your parents will let you, would you come up to my house with me and tell Mrs. Kender just what you told me?
You should probably tell the police first, but whatever. Uh-oh, it might be too late. Longfellow's got his sights set on Mrs. Kender.
I'm not feeling very well. And I was wondering if it would be at all possible if you could bring over some kind of mild painkiller. Any kind of aspirin would be just fine.
Come on, Longfellow. If you're gonna ask a neighbor for some painkillers, start with Percocet and then work your way down to aspirin. No, Mrs. Kender, don't descend into the bowels of Longfellow's unfinished basement of doom. This place sure could use some paneling. And I had a feeling Longfellow was the type of guy who collects swords. Here's another example of this movie being darker than Dohler's usual stuff. You think Kender's wife is gonna survive somehow? Nope. She's dead. Well, there's only 5 minutes left. Time for the climactic battle of the mustaches. Despite all he's been through, this movie doesn't even give Kender the satisfaction of killing Longfellow. Instead, the kid's the one who does it by going all Corey Feldman in Friday the 13th Part 4, rather than the usual zombie headshot weakness. A fiend can only be killed by stabbing it in the ass. No, seriously, is that where he stabbed him? Because that's kinda what it looks like. And so the Fiend is defeated and the color goes back out into space, which again kind of makes me wonder if this thing really was an alien. As with the rest of Dohler's filmography, you pretty much know what you're getting here production value-wise. This has the same homemade quality that the rest of his movies do, with regards to stuff like the acting, effects, cinematography, etc., which is both crude and a big part of the movie's charm. It's also interesting to see Dohler move out of his comfort zone a little bit with regards to the darker subject matter, and a monster that's supernatural instead of alien in nature. It's fitting that this has a subplot about kids making their own sci-fi movie, because that's what a lot of Dohler's movies feel like. A big kid making his own movies with whatever he had available to him. Even if he never really broke out of low-budget regional sci-fi flicks, the guy had genuine enthusiasm, and that's something all my snarky remarks can't take away from him. Plus, this one didn't have excessive walking in the woods filler or an awkward sex scene, so it's got that going for it. Well, it's all for now. Until next time.
Excuse me, Dorian.